Hey guys, Jessica Coulter here, and today we're going to be talking about studying. And I have 3 tips that I want to share with you that I think are my top tips to help you or your child get an A on your next test. So, if you are struggling with studying, let me know down below in the comments. Just say study help, or maybe there's a class in particular that immediately comes to your mind when I say study help. Let me know what that is so I can kind of focus my future videos and give you some advice specific to that class. So before we jump into my top tips, just want to introduce myself properly in case you're wondering who I am. Again, my name is Jessica Coulter. I am the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. I help students in the 3rd grade and beyond, all the way up through adults in grad school. And I have 3 specialties that include studying and test taking strategies. So let's jump into these tips for you. So number 1 is give yourself enough time for studying. So in the past, in other videos, and other posts, I've mentioned that for myself, I always studied 12 hours per test. I mean, that was always my kind of go-to standard. Yes, I did that sometimes. Yes, I wanted to do it and didn't do it. Other times, it just didn't feel like I needed to. So enough time is going to depend on you or your child and kind of the class and how hard that class is for you. I mean, if you've got a giant final a week from now, a final is going to be a lot more intense and probably require some intense studying compared to, a little mini pop quiz. If you know the material, great, both are going to be easy, but yet the amount of material you need to know or review is going to depend on the test and the class. So decide how much time of studying is necessary for you, and kind of go from there. If you don't know how much you should study for, like the ACT or some other big test, I always encourage more over less. So before I jump into tip number 2, I want to let you guys know that I would love to jump on the phone with you. Just call the phone number in the description. It's 913-938-6344. If you want to get some study tips and figure out how to best study so you can get an A on your next test, give me a call. So let's talk about tip number 2, and that is to discover your ideal study material. So again, in other videos, other posts I've mentioned, like the computer versus paper. I've mentioned, the study guide versus your personal notes. So figure out what you need to study in order to be successful. Because for me, I always take lots and lots of notes in class, and I usually handwrite them and then type them. So that way, A, that's some studying to have to transfer. B, so I can read my own handwriting. And C, so I can kind of organize my thoughts on the computer. Now, other people rely solely on the teacher study guides, and I highly encourage you or your child to do those if they're offered, for the sake of the teacher usually kind of pinpoints what he or she wants you to really know for the test. So definitely, you've got 20 chapters to study, but the teacher's only picked out a couple terms or a couple kind of diagrams or processes per chapter or even section. It's going to narrow the focus that you need to have for your studying, makes it quicker, makes it more effective. So guys, what do we think? If you're liking the video, wonderful. Just tap that like or heart button for me. If you're watching on Facebook and you haven't followed my business page, would love to have you do that. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you're watching on YouTube. So one more top tip for you about studying, and that is to figure out where your ideal study place is or what your study environment is. So what I mean by that, if you do not study well on your own, maybe you need to find a study group. Maybe you've got 6 roommates, or you live with a large family, and your family's really loud and crazy. Well, you need to figure out, can you study with that? Or do you need to find a quiet place like in the library or somewhere outside, somewhere you can be successful? So figure out where you can study successfully, your environment. Now, I encourage you, if you're going to be taking the test somewhere very quiet, very monitored, like a standardized test, try to mimic the study conditions at home, because that is going to help you focus. Because the more real the studying is to the actual test day or the time you're doing this test, then it's going to help you a lot. So guys, that's everything I have for you. Those are my 3 top tips when it comes to studying. So again, if you want to become a study expert, you want to become better at studying so you can get an A on your next test, so you're no longer wasting hours studying and then frustrated with the scores you get, give me a call, 913-938-6344. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in my next video.